Welcome to GovCom Unfiltered, where your journey through the labyrinth of federal contracting begins. I'm Alexa Choi, your guide and host on this epic adventure. Here, we dive deep into the heart of government contracting, shedding light on the heroic tales of those who navigate its complex terrain. Our mission? To bring you closer to the action, revealing the critical steps, triumphant victories, and occasional pitfalls that our intrepid adventurers face. Your journey into the world of government contracting starts now, and we could not be happier to have you with us. Let's embark on this adventure together. Thank you for joining us on GovCom Unfiltered. Today, our guest is AO. And since his name is particularly difficult to pronounce, I'm going to have him introduce himself. But what a guy, what a name. I cannot wait for this convo.
Thanks, Alexa. How you doing, everybody? My name is Akinwande Oshodi. The cheesy way I help people remember it is I can one day. I learned this through numerous networking events where people had struggles learning my name, but I go by AO. My name starts, the etymology behind it. I'm Nigerian. It comes from a Nigerian descent. I'm also the firstborn son. So my mom, I don't know, she must be Nostradamus, but she decided to name me warrior of the family. Being the firstborn son, I ended up joining the Army and becoming a soldier for the U.S. Army.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, let's go back to your name. I can one day. This is just so awesome. Imagine going through life with a name like I can one day. Like you're gonna struggle and this and that, and just like, no, I can and I will. That's great. And then the Nigerian background. So how old were you when you moved to the US?
I moved to the U.S. about 9 years old. Moved to Newark, New Jersey.
Oh wow, New Jersey. Ooh,
Yeah.
how was that?
Newark is an interesting town, kind of gritty.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of helped build me up, build my resilience up through life.
Now I know why you joined the Army. This is all checking out so far. Okay. Awesome, awesome. I love it. Well, tell us a little bit about, what you do today and what you're known for. Because I think, I've been seeing your name in G2X, and we're not publishing it just because you're you, but you get in there because you win, you're making moves, something like that. So talk about, who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So my background, as I mentioned, I was in the Army National Guard, New Jersey Army National Guard to be specific. Spent about 15 years in the military. I've done a bunch of different things in the military, from a financial manager to all the way to being a contract specialist purchasing goods and services on behalf of New Jersey Army National Guard. So with all that experience, I have an accounting background. I thought when I wanted to start a company, what experience should I leverage? Other people's or my own? And I thought my experience would be a good start. So we at the Avery Group essentially support governance, risk, and compliance efforts. We've been fortunate to support clients like the CDC on some of their strategic planning efforts, to also include emergency response planning, leveraging COVID-19 funds, to the VA and their implementation of the electronic health record system. Most notably, we won some prime contracts supporting the PACT Act within the VA, which provides additional access to care for veterans who have been exposed to toxic exposures throughout their term in service. So doing some pretty cool things. All of these projects are really near and dear to my heart. I live in the Atlanta metro area, so CDC is very important to me. My wife works at CDC as well. So it's really good to see all the things that I'm doing really, really are impactful to my life and also where I come from.
The reason why I love this so much is because I always say there's really not a mission in GovCon that you can't get behind, right? Whether it's the VA or the DoD or NASA, it's there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of it that as a citizen and as a taxpayer, you can really like rah some energy behind. And I'm just so glad that you found a company, a space, a thing that you do that the government needs and that you also love, and it kind of brings it all together. What does the Japanese call that, like ikagagi or something, where you
I
find
believe
your
so. I believe so.
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you are the CEO and owner of the Avery Group, right?
That's correct, Alexa.
And then the Avery Group is a service disabled, veteran owned business.
That's correct. Also an 8A company.
And an 8A.
Yeah, we recently got our 8A certification earlier this year.
So anybody listening to this, AO is your guy. He is able to get sole sources not only in the 8A program, but also in the service disabled veteran owned program, which then gives the small business folks two different checkboxes, and contracting officers too. So this gives the agency two different ways of getting points, which is great. Cool. All right. Let's go back a little bit in time. When you were in the military, what was your MOS? And I guess that's called military occupational specialty, whatever training that you were in.
That's correct. You know, us military people love acronyms. So,
I know.
so I was a 44 Charlie, which is a finance manager majority of my career. I was also in signal operations for a brief period of time, which means like I supported network operations when we were deployed downrange in Iraq. And then later part of my career, I knew I wanted to get involved into government contracting. So I decided to change my MOS to a contract specialist, where, as I mentioned earlier, I bought goods and services on behalf of the U.S. government.
So tell me, and this, I'm definitely taking a left turn off the questions. So
Okay.
hopefully that's okay. This happens when I get interested in something you said and then I start going in different directions. So tell me about how being a contracting officer has prepared you to be a CEO of a GovCon firm.
Yeah, well, so I was a contract specialist. I
Oh,
didn't last long enough to be a KO or a CO. But I think it gave me a foundational knowledge of, one, what federal government contracting is. It also helped me understand the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation, at a high level. So I think that prepared me to kind of have a grasp of everything, to be on the industry side of things. I will say it doesn't prepare you. I wouldn't even say 50%, right? Because when you're a government employee, you understand the regulations and you understand
right.
pure goods and services, but it doesn't tell you how to run a company. It doesn't teach you about people management. It doesn't teach you about accounting. It doesn't teach you about financial instruments to help drive your business and scale your business. And it doesn't teach you about development, which is the most interesting thing on the industry side of things.
Right, right. Yeah. And also, I've noticed from doing the BD capture role for, years and years and years that, government contracting firms do two things. They write proposals and then they support customers, right? Operations. So
Yeah.
it probably also didn't really prepare you for how you have to do both of those in tandem at the same time.
Agreed. It did teach me how to be busy during busy season, though, Alexa.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah, for sure. Q4, not new for you, right?
Not at
Like,
all.
yeah. Awesome, perfect. All right, well, so, I really love your story so far. And it really fits in with all the things that this podcast is about, kind of like shining light on the journey and like what excited you and motivated you. So if you take a look at what you've done so far, and to be honest, like brand new A-Day, this is like such an exciting time because you've got your full runway ahead of you. Two things. First of all, what has been the most exciting part so far? And what are you looking forward to the most in the next, 8-10 years for your A-Day?
So far, what's been the most exciting is actually growing a team. I'm an athlete, right? When
Oh,
we all like to play sports and pick our own teams, and I think that's been the most interesting thing for me. While I've worked with other large prime contract companies, and I had some autonomy to pick the people I wanted to support me on a team, this is actually starting from ground zero and really seeing what we can accomplish together. So I'd probably say that's been the most satisfying thing, right? Like bringing people that I've been connected with throughout the course of my career, and also bringing on new people to challenge my frame of thought to try to accomplish something great and building something great. From an 8 to 10 year perspective, my vision for Avery Group is really lofty, because I am a veteran, an Army veteran. I want to get back to the DoD. But I want to get back to the DoD in a little different way than when I served previously. Previously, I was a finance manager, and where I want us to go is more so aerospace and missile defense. As we see the news right now, there's a lot of activity going on in the space, aerospace world, and that has a huge runway. So we're hoping that we take a lot of our IT software development practice, enhance those, and start transitioning that into aerospace and missile defense in the 10 years or 9 years we have this A-Day.
well, AO, as somebody that has sold IT services to the DoD, I'm here to tell you that this is an achievable goal. You can do this. And they are looking for companies like yours. So, they also need companies that are like yours, and I think they're going to be excited to have you. And there's like even just like MDA, right? The Missile Defense Agency. They're headquartered out in Huntsville, Alabama at Redstone Arsenal, and they have a SDVOSB lead. So, that would be a great place to kick that whole thing off and visit NASA while you're there, Marshall, and go around. Let me know if you need a wingman, because I'm here for you in Huntsville. That's a super fun spot
Okay.
to be.
Okay. Well, I always need a wingman, Alexa. But I'm actually heading to Huntsville this evening for the Space and Missile Defense Conference. So
What?
we're trying to make strides. We're not there yet, but we're inching away. Crawl, walk,
Look
run.
at you doing big things. I'm so proud of you. Awesome, cool. Well, that'd be a good conference. And I'm glad you told me, because now I can hit you up after this call and be like, hey, watch out for this person, do this, do that, because that's like one of my favorite places, Huntsville, Alabama.
Same here.
Awesome, cool. Well, all right, next question. I think you became famous to me anyways. I already knew you were famous out there doing your thing, but you became famous to me because of your role with NCMA Atlanta. So tell me a little bit about that. What's your role now? What's been your support like so far? And why did you pick NCMA out of all of them?
Yeah. So currently, I'm actually the president for the NCMA Atlanta chapter. I started my term I guess, in July of this year, and hoping to accomplish some great things. I've been part of NCMA for over the last, I'd say, 6 years. I've done multitude of things, from being the assistant treasurer to the treasurer to also serving on various committees throughout NCMA. And I've also been a part of the national organization, where I was part of the award-winning contract management leadership development program. Why I chose NCMA, it's kind of a funny story. I just actually used to live in DC before I moved to Atlanta.
Oh,
And I knew that I was working for a large prime company, and I knew that regardless if I stayed in DC or moved to Atlanta, I wanted to start my own GovCon small business. And like what most people do, or what most people should do, is try to understand who's in the market, right? Who are the players in the game? Who's in Atlanta? And the recurring thing I saw when I was researching is National Contract Management Association. I started reading about it, learning about it, and I found out it's a unique place where contracting officers, contracting acquisition professionals connect with industry to come up with the best solutions for the taxpayers. So I was like, oh,
right.
I want to be in this space. I need to know my competitor
Yeah.
mates, as people say it, right? And
Yeah.
also
Yep.
really build my relationship base with acquisition professionals, because I love to learn, right? I was a previous contracting specialist. I went to school and got a master's in government acquisition and procurement. So I was like, this is community.
Right.
So I jumped in, feet first, and since then, I've been lockstep, so much so I'm president, and I've gone through several programs, and I'm even afforded opportunities to speak at the national level at NCMA's World Congress.
Awesome. I love to hear it. I love to see it. NCMA is an exciting, dynamic organization, and historically it's been very focused on contracting officers, but I think I'm starting to see a shift where, because so many more people are getting interested in it, there's been like a lot of capture, BD, and like the full life cycle, not just the contracting officer piece, which I think is going to be a good development for NCMA.
I agree. I agree, Alexa. I tell people all the time in industry that they need to tap in with NCMA. And the reason why is because, like, yes, you have exposure, yes, you have contacts, but the information you're able to learn from the various sessions only enhances your BD and capture, right? Like,
Right.
now you know how government procurement officials think, so you know
Right.
how to have conversations, intelligent conversations, and speak the same language.
Yeah, I think that's key, actually. Tell us a little bit more about the Avery Group. So, where do you want to grow? We talked about that already, right? Where you want to grow, but what companies are out there right now that you kind of hear about, you see, and you kind of think to yourself, oh, I want to be where they are one day. Like, are there any companies you can tell us about that you look up to?
Yes, there are quite a few companies. I'd probably say company here in Atlanta that I aspire to be is TJ Fact. They do a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
with Department of State, CDC, HHS, as well as
Mm-hmm.
DoD. Another company that I would like, to achieve to be is a company called JJR Solutions. They are actually based out of Dayton, Ohio, where they were.
Oh.
and they've just recently been acquired by LMI. They've done a lot of cool stuff in the aerospace, Air Force, Air Force agency. So those are really two notable companies that I think are doing some pretty amazing things.
Awesome. What great examples. TJ Fact is, because they're headquartered in Atlanta. You don't always see them around the DC area, but you'd have to be sleeping under a rock not to know what they've been up to.
Agreed.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So tell us how your company really drives innovation in the government space. Because you can't really get on any sort of a talk. I didn't want to use the words AI because I actually want to turn AI into like a drinking game where somebody has to take a shot every time they say AI. But like how does your company, the Avery Group, go about bringing innovation to these different things? And, I know you said you have your eye on DoD and missile space and defense. And what are some of those innovative approaches that you want to bring with you?
Yeah. So, we always talk about how talent, especially on the industry side, we talk about how talent is very hard to find.
Yeah,
So I've actually gone back to my alma mater, Rutgers University, and to tap into that talent pipeline. So we have two agreements right now with two universities, one in Florida, in Central Florida, and then the other in New Jersey, Rutgers University. And we're leveraging their student base, one, to develop talent, but also to identify solutions that need, problems that need to be solved through IG reports, and
right.
developing frameworks or softwares to address them. So right now we're still in the very, very junior stages, right? But we're into their engineering departments, we're in their computer science fields or departments, both undergrad and their graduate level courses, giving these students challenges to solve, asking them to help them solve them, while also looking at the talent pipeline to bring into our company. And they also garner college credits as well. So I'd say that's probably the most innovative thing that we're doing to address some of our clients' issues.
I love that. So it's kind of like an internship pipeline, an early one, so you can have some like a continuous bench, right? A
That's
warm bench. Yeah. Why I love this is because it is really the next generation that is so innovative. They just have this like energy and drive.
very much so, very much so. And they have the time. And not only are we building a pipeline, right? They're also actually developing products that we can actually say,
Wow.
clients, hey, this is the issue, this is the problem, this is a use case for our solution. So it's giving students actual brain power, actual like issues they can work on that we could potentially take to the clients later in the line.
I love it. That's great. I really feel like, especially the historical Black universities, that there's so much opportunity there to build those, like you said, tap into their talent and do this continual hiring, warm bench pipeline thing. I think it's just such a great idea.
Agreed. But not funny that you mentioned HBCUs, Alexa. We're actually starting to work on a partnership with Alabama A&M.
Oh
Down.
yeah. That's what's up. Yes. What a tremendous university too, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, cool. I love it. All right, next question. If you were to pick one thing that you need right now, because I'm assuming somebody's going to listen to this and be like, wow, Ayo, so cool. I'd love to reach out to him, but I don't want to reach out to him with like an ask. I want to reach out to him with like a give. Like, what are
Yeah.
you looking for right now? Like, that could be really helpful for you.
I actually just came from the DoD Mentor Protege Conference, Alexa. So
Oh, nice.
if you're a mentor that is in the that plays in the Army, or specifically DHA, Army National Guard, or MDA, I'd love to connect with you. Just learn from you, really, just soak it up. To your point, Alexa, I don't like asking people for anything, right?
I
I'm more
know. Nobody does, really.
Nobody does, but I love learning. Education is the most important thing to me. So anybody that can give me some knowledge on how they were able to accomplish breaking into those agencies, that'd be a tremendous benefit to me.
Interesting ask and very poignant. G2X is also going to be having a big mentor protege event in September. I'm going to send you the information to join. We have Stephen Copran speaking and a few other govies as well as people that have been successful on not only the agency specific mentor proteges, but the SBA 8A approved one, where you create a JV. So I think that'll be a really great place for you to meet some larger companies and really kind of get some answers to some questions that you might have.
Okay. I'm signed up for it already, Alexa.
Oh, you are? Oh my God, that's so
I am.
exciting.
I
All
am.
right,
I'm looking
cool.
forward to it.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go make sure we got up some DoD companies coming. I'm gonna be like, can I see the registration list? I need to make sure AO is gonna have his questions answered.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny too, because being where you are in your process, how you got your 8A, you have some prime contracts under your belt, you have some subcontracts, you're the perfect picture of a good company to be a protege to a big that's looking to take somebody under their wing and accomplish big things together. You're like the perfect candidate for it.
We agree, Alexa.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. All right. Next question. I'm sure that there's folks out in the next couple of questions I ask you are going to sound like this one, but they're a little bit different. So, if you think about you're going to talk to a younger AO, maybe 5 years ago AO, what kind of advice would you have given that AO if you were like, okay, I'm going to fulfill my dreams, I'm going to start a GovCon? What advice would you give this guy?
Yeah, I would probably say, ooh, I think when I was younger, I was more, I think I still experience this. I was more reserved. I wasn't as open to meeting new people and being uncomfortable. I think what I would tell younger AO is be uncomfortable as often as possible because that's where you grow. And I feel like I'm uncomfortable every day. But, I look forward to that now as opposed to before I
Right.
would try to avoid it. And also just like really, really tapping into your relationships. I think, the age old saying, doesn't matter how much you know, all right? It matters who you know. I think that matters quite a bit because I actually started a GovCon business while I was in the military before I transitioned. It was called Hunter Strategies, Alexa. And it failed miserably because I was still in the military and the only people I
Right.
knew were people that were in the military and they weren't
Right.
that could help progress me or bring me on or provide me with opportunities or even just educate me. So I think one of the things I've learned, going into the Avery Group venture is relationships really, really matter.
Oh yeah.
And the quality of those relationships, I think, help propel you and advance you in this space.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And being uncomfortable, I feel like is something that is hard to, like you said, be comfortable with. Being uncomfortable is hard to be comfortable with. Yeah, of course, obviously. That's what the word is, uncomfortable, right? But you're also right that I think, walking into a room full of strangers, people think like, oh, but you're a connector, you're a social butterfly. It's easy for you. It's not easy for anybody to walk into a room full of 100 people you don't know. And your goal is to like make new friends and get some relationships fired up. And, so I really commend you for doing that, especially if it didn't come super naturally to you. GovCon is the perfect place to get uncomfortable every day. I'm sure that, get a couple debriefs under your belt. All right, I'm going to go into the last two questions. They're kind of the questions I ask everybody. And one day I want to make like a little book out of everybody I've interviewed and have like their answers to these two questions, because I feel like they're going to be very good general advice that I think this industry needs. So the first question is, if somebody was watching you and they were inspired by your journey, which I'm sure a lot of people are, you're like the perfect profile, military and came out and, all these things. What two pieces of advice would you give somebody that was watching your journey that really wanted to learn from you? Besides being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I always tell people education is the most important thing. And it's not just education in the book, right? Like, I'm not saying
Right.
just sit down and read the FAR front to back, right? I'll also say it's like real life experiences. And you can get that from a multitude of places, right? One is just natural experience, but also getting a mentor. I think I've been fortunate where people have invested their knowledge and their time into me that has given me foresight that I traditionally wouldn't have had. And I think that is probably the biggest piece of advice that I could ever recommend because you have a vision for yourself. Why not approach or meet somebody who's already there or who's already living in the space you want to be in to help give you the steps that they took to get there? I'd probably say that would be the number one piece of advice is educating yourself, both through education, like the traditional form, and also getting yourself a mentor and getting that experience.
Okay, that was one. What was the other one?
Yeah, I guess I can't count. The second one would be figure out ways to expand your network. Probably organizations like NCMA, AFCEA, various conferences, like getting out, just going to conferences, I think is going to help build that experience, help build those battle scars, rough hands, because I got some rough hands over here. It gives you a feedback loop, right? Like you're going to learn from the mentor, you're going to learn from these books that you're reading or listening to, and you're going to test it. You're going to try to apply it with your personality and see what works and what doesn't. I can one day, the saying of my name didn't come since I was born, right? I actually just coined it maybe 3 to 4 years ago because I realized I was having a difficult time at networking events, conferences to really connect with people. So it was just a nice way to make people smile. So just getting out there, really shaking hands, being one with the people, understanding who the players in the space are. I think just really, really engrossing yourself, like being a student of the game is what I take. And I think people should really, really try to master the craft the best possible way.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love all these. This is great. I can one day. Yes. So next question. What do you think your personal superpower is besides I can one day? Besides that, what do you think your superpower is and how did you find it?
Yeah, I was going to say resiliency, right? Because the name. My superpower is just being able to connect with people, right? And being empathetic. I think so many times, like even in this space, you go to conferences, people seem so transactional. Like, what do you do? Like, who are you?
Oh, I know.
And I get a lot of grief for it, Alexa. Like, I really admire the development people just going out and shaking hands and meeting people and just business cards. I think what my superpower is just like being calm and just really getting to know the person I'm talking to. And like putting myself in their shoes, like how can I be of service to them as opposed to trying to take all the time. One of my great advisors said his business model is free to fee, right? So even as I get to know you, I'm always looking for opportunities where I can add value. I think it's really been my superpower, and that's what's given me some momentum in this industry.
It's a really good superpower. I like that, and I think people appreciate it too. When you're at a networking event and, the people always ask like, oh, how are you today? I'm good. What do you do? And it's just breaking out of that talk track and into like, okay, what really excites you right now? What are you really interested in? Where did you come from? Who are you? How did you get here? Like some of these questions that go beyond the like expected talk track, I think are a really great way to build a true network, right? Where it's not just like, people reach out to me all the time on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, do you know this person? And I look them up and I'm like, well, it's a funny story. I have met them like once at a conference, but it's not like they would know who I am. But I want to have more instances of like, yes, I do know them really well. What would you like to know? How can I help? Right. And that's building that kind of network takes a lot of time, attention, and an intention as well.
Agreed.
Cool. Well, catch us next time on GovCom Unfiltered, where we have more of these kinds of conversations. But for today, thank you, I Can One Day, AO. It's been such a pleasure, and I'll see you next time in Atlanta.
Thank you very much, Lexa. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
As we draw the curtain on today's chapter of GovCom Unfiltered, I want to thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey through the intricate world of federal contracting. I'm Alexa Choi, and it's been an honor to navigate these stories of courage, innovation, and resilience with you. Until we meet again, keep pushing boundaries, exploring new horizons, and making your mark in the government contracting universe. Farewell for now, but not forever. Stay tuned for more adventures that await in the next episode of GovCom Unfiltered. Safe travels on your path to greatness, and remember, we are all on this journey together.